So welcome, everybody. September 13th. You want to give the information, Lily, or not? It's up to you.
Oh, I have to pull it. I have to pull it up. I don't have my sheet.
Okay, we'll give you a chance. This show, let me just prelude you. This show is 164, the 164th show on the Diamonds Forever 31, and today's reference is 164 pound. If you want to listen to it on the recorded line. But this show today will encourage you. We're going to talk about energy within the concept of who we really are. We're going to learn who we are and understand that. And thus, if you learn who you are and understand that, then you can really paradigm shift in preparation for these next 3 months, specifically starting on September 21st through October 19th and beyond. So this is really going to encourage you. And do you have it then, Lily?
Yeah, I'm winging it.
Okay.
I'm winging it, so you'll have to come in with.
Sure.
Okay, so welcome to the Diamonds Show.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Am I? Welcome to the Diamonds Show. It's Saturday.
You're in the tunnel.
Uh-oh.
There.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Today is the 13th with Elizabeth, Diamond,
and Lily.
And Lily, the call-in number is 209-255-1000. The PIN is 883-267-pound. That's 883-267-pound. And if you want to listen to replays, it's 209-255-1099. Next week, we have Franco Di Nicola coming. That'll be a really good show. Today, we've got a really great show that Elizabeth has put together, and we're going to cover several topics. And be sure to visit the Diamonds blog spot, and that is diamondsforever31.blogspot.com. That's diamondsforever31.blogspot.com. Please check the website for any information regarding international calling and replays. Anything else?
Yes, on the blog spot, the Diamonds blog spot, on the upper right-hand corner, there's a donate button. Please, if you're expanding in consciousness and growing, we're all in this together, please think about making a donation, an energy contribution to the energy given out today and all the calls. You just go there, it goes to PayPal. You have to use a debit card. What else? The email is diamondsforever31@yahoo.com. And what else did I have? You got the recorded line. Also, I'll post the links on iqdcallswithans.com. You just hit the information of the Diamonds on the front page down below under alternative calls and hit Diamonds replays. Or I always put the link on the call that's on the Diamonds blog. I want to give a thank you to iqdcalls.com, truthcall.com, and Dinar Guru News with an S.com. Thanks for putting that stuff, the Diamonds information on there. What else? YouTube. Yes, there's a YouTube channel. We got 2 shows up, 2 Diamond shows, most recent ones, up on the YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and put in the search bar, I did that this morning, and put Elizabeth Diamond with no S, Elizabeth Diamond. YouTube is one word, YOUTUBE, YouTube, and then channel, CHANEL. Yeah, I'm not good at spelling. So if you put Elizabeth Diamond YouTube channel, it'll come up and you'll find it. Otherwise, if you're on, what is that, Google Hangouts, it's like a Facebook. You can find the channel there. And I'm on Facebook under Elizabeth Mulligan. If you want to friend me. So, what else? The reference number today, 163 pound. It'll be available on the phone right after the call. Yes, and some calls coming up. September 27th is Franco. Remember the big waves coming in on the 21st. We're going to learn more about that today. So he'll be on the 27th. We'll be able to follow up with what we're experiencing and ask some personal questions. So get ready with your questions. Write them down as you're going through these energies, you guys, your transition. And October 11th, Antonia Higgins, she works with Franco DiNicolo and Sierra James Fu, who we'll talk about a little bit on his energy paper today. And on October 25th, the big show, Franco DiNicolo with Julian Wells, who gives us an update on the Pleiadians. Okay. Does anybody want to say any comments right now or say hi? Let me unmute the room. Lily, anything you want to say before we get started? Okay, last chance for coming in real quick. *6. Okay, well, sit back, enjoy, you guys. It's going to be a good show. I'll give chances to come in and make comments, questions, write down questions, and get a piece of paper and pen so you can write down some information to expand even yourself beyond this call. First up, Crystal Walker. She was supposed to be on today. I just found out an hour ago. She canceled. She's just wanting to take some time alone, and she just discovered this herself, so I don't blame her. Things happen. We all have to go by the Spirit, walk by the Spirit, I call it, and go with our heart's intent. So I'm hoping to have her on in another future date. She is Julian's partner, so I'm sure we'll hear from her sooner or later. But let's just give her the leeway to have her time. So I do. It was no problem lining this up. It didn't take long. I already had it lined up. So, things always work out, not by accident, but on purpose. So by the time we get done with this call, you guys are going to be very encouraged with current events going on, and you will learn about who you really are intimately, quantum physically, sciencely. You'll have a better understanding and knowledge of who you really are, energy, and thus you need that for going through this transition and these energies that are coming in these 3 months. They're very, very heavy. Now, don't take that word as a bad word, like we say. But the better prepared we are and can ride it like a wave instead of being tossed to and fro inside the wave, the more easier a transition. But this wave we'll learn more about that. And what was the other thing? You're just going to be encouraged. Let's get started. Very encouraged. All right, first thing. Like I said, there's music playing in the background. That's 528 hertz frequency. There's a frequency of love. It'll adjust your energy to the frequency of love as you listen to it, even if it's very faint. So, because we are energy, we are frequencies of energy, and we're increasing our frequency energy to less denser, and moving from the dense to the less denser energies. We're becoming those diamonds that come out of the coal and shine bright. All right, so I just have one little piece of news here to read really quick. Let's just read, current events, and these are some generals in what we call the bad guy realm, the shadow government, the propaganda machine, the matrix that we're coming out of and creating a new golden age world. But they're human beings too. It just gives you a kind of a clue where we're at. So these are like generals, and it gives you a clue where the energies are at. They're increasing to less dense, and these guys are used to living in dense energies, and sometimes they can't handle it. So just as we call them the guys in contrast, too, like Crystal, her title for them, and Julian's. Okay, just as the bad guys seem to be winning the battles left and right, and as the papers declare everything is fine in Pleasantville, the weekend did not fare well for some of their key henchmen, and this was last week. Andrew Madoff, the last remaining son of Ponzi scheme, Jewish mafia, electronic market rigger, Bernie Madoff, has died. Now, Bernie Madoff owns a lot of the mass media propaganda machine. And, about 2 years ago, he was really in trouble, with the, what's his name? The NSA stuff coming out, and they're, sneaking, listening to people and, heads of government and stuff. So he's been in trouble since then. So that's a sign for the media crumbling. And then there's a link. And by the way, I had CNN on a little bit 5 minutes before I came, and we've been having lots and lots of CMEs, coronal mass ejections from the sun, which is actually the energy we're talking about that's been changing us, and that these 3 big waves, these 3 months of a big energy coming. They're talked about it on CNN, and they showed a picture in the CMAs coming off of the sun, and, it's so big now, these energies, and everybody's seeing it, they can't hide it, but they're bringing it in on CNN. They're saying, we're worried, about maybe these big energies coming off the sun, that they'll shut off the electricity grid and stuff, but I don't think so. They have to twist something for fear's sake. But I'm encouraged that we're seeing it on mainstream media, even though they do their little twisting around. Okay, Larry Glazer, business partner for the Bush crime cabal at Harbinger Group, aka Zapata Oil, falls out of the sky and dies with his wife. Louis Freck, ex-FBI boss and supposed mastermind behind 9/11, falls asleep at the wheel and is seriously injured. We're going to hear a little bit about 9/11 today, the good side of that. And there will be more to come. I have long stated the following: banksters and bad guys don't quit or die when things are going well for them. It is only when they are on the brink of being found out that they find their demise. Stay tuned as things are heating up again. May the road you choose be the right road. Big swear. Okay, so that's that. Now, here's a little snip, 3-minute snip of who we really are. This is the Galactic Historian Cosmos. Here we go. Can you hear me okay, Lily? Am I breaking up?
No, you're real clear.
Okay, here we go.
When one makes the conscious choice to explore their own selves internally instead of an external source, the most common thread that we all share is the skin suit that we're in. That's made out of DNA technology that our light body ancestors before physical bodies co-created with Earth. They came to Earth, and Earth said, I have a concept for a skin suit, and this skin suit will link you to all of the dreaming minds of all of the worlds in the universe, even ones not created. Who's ready for this roller coaster ride? Paranormal experiences, Malaysian flight, all they want to do is hide every paranormal experience from us.
I call forth the proper spiritual court of equity to hear my decree of contract removal. I revoke all spiritual contracts with earth-based religions, cultures, belief systems, and industries that dominate and control the divine feminine power in our world and create an energetic imbalance that affects every man, woman, and child on the planet.
The spiritual court of equity is our birthright. It's the original set of rules in a 100% free will planet on a 100% free will universe that we started with. It says that you have contrast control at all time. It says that you can be in one space and another being can be in that exact same coordinates and you'll never see each other. It's the fundamentals of our reality. A facade reality was created so we wouldn't use the old rules, so that we believe these new rules such as karma, ancestral karma, dharma, or angels or demons or duality or separation or any of the other things that you want to call it. Disconnect yourself from the day, disentangle from the car ride, disentangle from your home, disentangle from your life. Allow yourself to be in heart space, an open mind, forgiving nature, light step, true heart, ready to have a whole new way of seeing things, hearing things, or looking at your old way and saying, it's the way for me. All ways are true in one way, shape, or form. And we come with this truth that in unity, we are all equal.
Okay, I hope you heard that okay. Now we're going to go into Andrew Bartz is talking on this Q&A that was done just yesterday. He's answering about being awake and the dramas we go through, and that's very encouraging. But then right after that, the next question, where we get to the news here, addresses the current events going on all around the world. And if you've been following them, you know all this stuff, rah-rah stuff going on. So this will help you and more.
The work that you do.
Thank you.
And I know that you wanted that to be expressed, and I think it's a very beautiful thought. Okay. The question here, it's a bit of a longish question, but I think it might give some insight to a few people going through this when they listen to these materials. The unawakened life is full of drama, action, and reaction. This person says, awakening as far as I understood, it's to rise above the unconscious reactions and choose actions based on kindness, wisdom, love. However, it seems that I've awakened to a larger drama, an intergalactic power struggle between ETs, light and dark energies, and soul families. What's beyond all this intergalactic and dimensional drama? It seems we're claiming our sovereignty only to take part in a bigger drama.
That is the nature of karma, to make you think that you're going from one prison cell to a bigger prison cell. And when one lets go of karma, you let go of all the drama, and you're allowed to live as your natural zero-point function on a planet that allows soul commerce and 3D or 4D commerce between planets without restrictions or limitations. So, yes, letting go of karma is going to be the big thing. That's the whole point. We created the Galactic Ascension Machine so that we can say suddenly to karma, no, I'm giving you the middle finger. You're not the first rule that I abide by when I come into as a spirit anymore. My connection is to the planet and the soul families that I incarnated with so that I can have my perfect experience. I no longer need to be a being of karmic resolution. Once that's done, you're on your sovereign free will, and there's a whole vast network of planets out there that aren't labeled with human words like Galactic Federation or Unified Global Galactic Groups. I'm not trying to put anyone down, but I'm saying there's thousands of them out there, not just those few that we've heard out. And they all have the same moral code, sovereignty for everyone.
that every being, every planet, every space needs its sacred space to grow and define itself. And when when a planet comes into the level of awareness that there are beings of light and beings of space travel out there, that there's rules that are used with them as they're going through the transition. And we are a species that doesn't trust because we've lost our history. We're working with a government that lies, it spits lies more at us. We're working with a news media that's mutant and never tells us the truth. We're fed vaccinations by our doctors that poison us with mercury. Those that are there to heal are the greatest poisoners, so on and so forth. And as we begin the process of the separation of densities and begin to understand what is true truth and what is false truth, what is false life truth, and what is fake truth, because there's all different forms of truth. And when we get to the core truth that we are unlimited beings and an unlimited experience and not a limited experience of domination and control, we let go of the limitations and expectations and come into our galactic responsibility of a moral code as all species, so that we don't create our own dramas at an intergalactic level. And that no other species will create a drama with us, because they too understand the basic moral code of sovereignty for all beings.
Talking along this vein and this train of thought, and how you were talking about, it being an entrapment of karma to think that we're going from one prison cell to the next. There was something you had told me once that I think is very important for many people to understand. Many people who are exploring these spiritual paths seem to get, what I call spiritual fatigue, where they kind of keep saying like, oh, I just want to wake up, or I just want to be free, or I just want this. And you told me something that really stuck in my mind, and I wondered if you could share that with the people who say, I just want to wake up, or I just don't want to be here anymore.
I want you to say it in your frequency. It's important.
Okay. Even if I'm not feeling that right now.
Even if you're not feeling that now.
Okay. I'm so tired of being here. I want to wake up. I don't want to fight and struggle anymore. I want to be awakened. I want to be whole again.
Okay. You are whole. And the only difference is attitude right now. And the attitude of I'm not supposed to be here, wrong, you're here. Get over it. I'm sorry to be that blunt and that rude. Get over it. You're here now. And the aliens from up there cannot do any more help to get you out than what you can do for yourself. They have infinite energy waiting for you when you begin to create a language with them. If you can't even begin to create a language with them and you're that disconnected, you are in depression, regression, obsession, and you are in the thrall, THRALL, of the system of domination and control, who's projecting on you shame, blame, guilt, obstructiveness, destructiveness, entropy, and all those other things that would keep you away from going into your own heart, connecting with the planet, giving the middle finger, double middle fingers to the reality, being your own local bubble of reality, and taking control of your fucking life. Okay? Take control of that life. I've had people come in on to do sessions, and they are suicidal. And you know what? That's not nice. And yet, at a psychic level, I have to be nice to them. Okay? And at a human level, you have a very fine line, because there are some people, if you don't call them on their suicidal bullshit, they'll just do it again and again and again and again. I had a particular person call me, and that was literally trolling hundreds of psychics every day, whatever money she had, so one would tell them, yes, kill yourself. No. You take control of your life. You die with dignity. You don't die in fear, because you're just putting yourself into the hands of the system to create another crappy life for you in the future. Stand up. Be proud of who you are. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. Karma isn't real. The system isn't real. It has no power over you when you begin to say no, when you begin to truly experience life and not scratch at its surface by going, oh, woe is me, everything is after me. I broke my neck when I was 6 years old. I shouldn't walk. I live with that pain. And there are millions of other people out there that have healed themselves from the worst sexual traumas, the worst psychic traumas, the worst hauntings. And there's no reason you can't start right now. I know that's a little harsh, and that's a little high energy. I had a little bit of coffee today, but it's important that people understand if you are in this negative Nancy or negative Nick at all times about being here on this planet, my answer to you is get over it. You're here now in this experience, and it is an unlimited experience here when you begin to co-create with the planet, co-create with your DNA skin scoop, co-create with the other people around you. Don't be a hermit in the cave, waiting for the ships to come down. Don't end up like Baba Rumdum with 10,000 students who don't know a damn thing about anything because they're paying $100,000 to be told that they're awakened. You can do it with $5. Burn a $5 bill, you're awakened.
Nice. Wow. You know, I usually save my wow, but this one needed one. This one just needed wow.
I'm sorry, I got on my throne there for a second.
It was needed. It was needed. It was needed.
And then I run into some people that have had the worst of the worst, and they're not suicidal. They're ready to get the next level. And then there are the ones that come for revenge. When you're looking for revenge, that's the only thing keeping you in the world, that's just as bad as the woe is me person that rolls over every time the system pokes them with a stick. Oh, I can't do each poke I can't take. You're a human being with a dignity. Tell the energy no. Because that's the universal law. That's the universal rule. No means no. At many, many different levels. And when you say it with force and conviction of the heart, it brings in power. Lots of power. Yes, there are people out there that are so haunted, they've gotten to a point where they need help. Well, if you got to the point that you needed help, the entities have made sure you got rid of all of your friends. Because they're smart. They're that smart. You need to be willing to ask for help so that you never get to that highest level. Look at other people out there and go, what kind of help does that person need? Well, maybe you can't provide it, but maybe you can connect them to a phone number and allow great mystery to take control. Can't tell you how many people came to find me that way. Somebody just gave them a phone number and said, go to this person. Thousands.
Beautiful. You have the power.
You do too. The time is now, the power is us. Every single person has the power. Every single person out there, from the smallest ant to the biggest great spirit, all has the equal amount of power. We're just stuck in this perception of the hierarchical order.
Absolutely.
And when the philosophers figure out how to not stop philosophizing in hierarchical order, and you'll see the universal source and how it connects to all.
Wow. I can see that there's going to be some nice healing from what you just said, and whoever's, listening to this, I hope you really, really absorb what was just said.
Yes.
All right.
Next question.
Jumping back to these questions, I wonder if you want to address these or not. This is a little bit about current events. How do you feel on that?
Sure, current events are fine.
Okay. So this is a question asking a bit about are any of the recent theories correct? Things, I guess, regarding the ISIS beheadings, if they're fake.
Fake, 100% fake.
100% fake.
I'll tell you something. Nothing is happening. A whole lot of nothing has happened. A whole lot of plans that were thought were going to happen aren't happening. No single force has the ability to create great change here. The politics is going to continue. They're going to try to continue to tell us about ISIS. For people that really want to know truth, stop paying attention to the news. And that also means stop paying attention to some of these false truther sites. And then there are other sites like Dabu77 that has some incredible information. He's not perfect every time, but he knows the theme. He knows the synopsis, and so do a number of others out there. My advice to you is, it's so fake out there that if you just go inside and see how authentic you are inside, this will be the easiest transition you could possibly go through. Simply let go of the system. It's doing whatever it can do to go, hey guys, pay attention to me, put your energy in me. Oh, I'll show you my boobies. Oh, look, Syria. Oh, look, China. Oh, look, natural disaster. Oh, come on, play with me. Oh, you got Ebola now. It's what it's doing. It's just saying me, 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 me. That's all that it's doing. Just let go of it. Create something brand new. Find a way to be happy. Don't give a rat's ass if somebody complains at you because you're smoking a cigarette that you rolled with your own two hands on your own radio show. Or people thinking it's weed. I don't care. This is tobacco that has never been touched by machine. I can't tell you how many people go, why are you smoking weed? I'm not. It's tobacco. And I chose to roll my own with natural papers because it is a true plant animal that you can connect to. Find a whole new way to look at the world other than through money and materialism and consumerism. You know, for some of the things that are going, MH17, MH370, I've explained MH370. It got stuck in no time. MH17 was just something they needed to do to stop people asking about MH370. And it just so happened to fit into a number of their other plans, which were the central bankers need war. Otherwise, the system that they're propping up, our American currency, dollar, is going to fall apart. And if they don't do something quick, all of these rumors of reevaluation may come true. You know, for the last couple of weeks, they've been saying revaluation, revaluation, revaluation. And the same thing I say is absolutely nothing will happen until tomorrow until we stand up in the same scale and size of the 1960s and 70s. So for those other people that are out there that are promoting that RV, that's your belief, and you are entitled to that, and you are empowering for that belief to come. But for those people that can't keep getting the rug pulled out from under them, can't keep sucking on the Kool-Aid or the hopium, Hopium, like opium, except hopium, they're constantly smoking the different bloggers, let go. If it's meant to be, your bank account will be filled up, but you don't need to be looking on the dinar ding list. You don't need to be watching it every day. Let it go. It is just there to psychically make you a part of the system. And yes, you've empowered it. You put your energy into it. And when the time has come and those funds are going to be released, which I do think at some point they will be, but not until we stand up and say, give it to us, bitches, it's not going to come. And they will continue to create our future lives. Take that into account. Our future lives. If they can plan just 1 minute of your future life, how much can you really do this fucking lifetime? Not very much. So you take back this lifetime so they can no longer create another lifetime. That's when your revaluation will come. Because you'll be given the true abundance of what your soul is worth in experience, not by the weight of gold or silver or a currency that's fiat.
Good. Question here that came through. We're talking a little bit about currencies, and this question's about...
Wow. That first part there made me cry. It's everything you asked, commented to me about, Lily. Did you notice that?
Yes, how apropos.
And this is very encouraging. You know, we hear yet for another, the RV will come, but, you know, unplug. And this is the energies coming to just let go, not as just what he talked about, but let go. That's a big thing in the waves coming of energy, and we're going to learn that. Any comments on that, Lily?
Yes, I do have a comment. It reminds me of a couple of friends of mine that are kind of low right now, in and out of depression. And one thing, every time I talk to them, that TV is blasting in the background, and it's so 3D, and it's so plugged into that system that, you know, turn that TV off. I mean, if you're going to watch something or get interested in something, my suggestion is YouTube. Start seeking out, other types of information, kind of like what he was talking about. Unplug from the system. Find out about, I don't know, aliens, Pleiadians, anything other than current events.
Listen to all the diamond calls.
Exactly, yeah.
And other calls.
And Franco is really, for me, I have to say, giving him a plug, I kind of knew how to get to neutral. I was aware of it, but every time I listen to him, he really puts it in perspective of maintaining a neutral state of view. It doesn't mean you can't get pissed off sometimes or you get frustrated with things. And
you've noticed inside yourself you change every time you listen to say Franco, right? Because this is what we're learning today. We are energy. We are, each of us individually and together, a frequency. So every time you listen to somebody, and we'll just say Franco, every time you listen to Franco, he's emitting a frequency, and it changes your frequency, adjusts it to the less denser in those parts he talks about, literally. Mm-hmm. You're not just hearing words. It literally changes us. And I've noticed that with him and others.
Right. And
us. You changed mine. I changed yours.
And go within and not looking outside ourselves. We have to go inside ourselves for the answers and some of the solutions. And when you can't find them on the inside and you have to go, to the Diamonds Call or just find something
ask the questions and your fingers will lead you, or somebody will come to your door, or a friend will call you. The universe will bring it straight to you. Or you'll get an unction to go somewhere to listen to something or stumble on something. And by the way, what that lady was reading in the first video was the contract revocations, to unplugging yourself, even though we're living in it still, unplugging yourself by your word and your vibrations of the mass media system, the banking system, and all that. You're just declaring it with yourself, and you're saying, no more. Yes, the matrix is still here, it's crumbling, but I'm stepping out of it, and I'm going to grow the way I'm going to go in the flow. I'm going to ride on the wave. I'm tired of being in the middle of the wave, being tumbled to and fro. Not saying you can't go into the system in a neutral connotation and prove to yourself that if you can stay in love and neutral, that system will just melt away around your circumstance because of your frequency you're emitting into the matrix. What else, Lily?
Well, it's our collective consciousness that together, when we band together and we say enough is enough and say no to the vaccinations, say no to the flu shots. Do you know that they're doing the flu shots like automated calling?
Wow.
It's time for your flu shot.
So when Andrew said, and not until we stand up, like the 60s and 70s, which, by the way, it was a movement like we are in now, but it got squelched by the system, but they don't have energy to squelch it this time. Standing up physically, and I believe he's saying, and I'm getting a fax download from heaven now, standing up in collective consciousness in our frequencies, you know what I mean? Together in our frequencies. So we're standing up, we're unplugging now, and we're going to ride the wave. And that's another part of standing up. So this call will encourage people to stand up in that way, the inner way. Wow, and we're just beginning, you guys. Now, I want to just take a side trail really quick. This is about a 3-minute audio. Now, this is Julian describing how he came to be talking with the Pleiadians, and we all can do this. Andrew puts it, I can't remember. But anyway, and Andrew commented on a little bit about the galactics, and if you re-listen to that. This will help you to prepare for what you can already do. Anything else? I wonder, should we see if anybody wants to come in and comment real quick?
Sure.
Okay, hold on. Okay, guys, *6 if you want to just bring anything into the soup, the yummy love soup today. Just comment, any thoughts, any questions, negative or positive as we put it, that come up. Go ahead and share it with the group because we all learn from everybody. They're all taking it in, Lily.
Yeah. I have an experience that happened to me this morning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and yeah, that reminds me, too. Last night, I listened to this, what we just listened to last night. I went to sleep. I was going to sleep, and I literally heard loud in my whatever, my energy field, no! Remember how Andrew said all you have to do is say no, and, you know, that creates a powerful force that you don't want to have nothing to do with the matrix. Not saying you're going to do something in the matrix physically, like my story this week where I let my driver's license expire for a year and 2 months because I'm out of the system, and I don't need it anyway. Well, I went to the bank to open an account, close them, and I had to get my driver's license. Long story short, I told the bank lady it was a good thing, and I told her about the Titanic sinking, and it wasn't by a wreck, and I had her Google it, so I'm helping awake the bank lady. And I just told her I have plan. That's okay. I got plan B. I got to get my driver's license, but I got plan B. I'm just believing by faith I'm out of the matrix, and I am, because I know that I know in your depths of heart. So that's my, and then now I'm just thinking, Lily, as I heard that no, it felt like somebody else said that. Why are they saying no to me? But now I'm thinking, oh, my God, Lily, I wonder if that's my higher self saying no for me, because my higher self can see a bigger, broader vision. And this is what's happening in us, increasing our vibrations. We're multidimensional beings, and every parts that have been cut off or wounded from living in this matrix are healing and coming back together. And this is a big part of what's happening with these energies coming in starting September 21st and before that. But this is going to be very strong. Go ahead, Lily. Sorry. So bring your story.
Yeah, I had somebody knock on my door inviting me to this church and wanted to make sure that I believed in Jesus and questioned me, not questioned me like attackingly, but inquisitively / wanting to push their agenda. And I just, you know, yeah, and he wanted to make sure I was saved. In case I died, was I going to go to heaven? And I said, oh, absolutely, I know exactly where I'm going. And then he wanted to kind of confirm and engage, and I said, listen, I said, I don't have to, and I just expressed, I don't have to defend myself or explain myself, because he wanted to give me his whole spiel and get into that, and I just expressed, you know, I'm not willing to engage into a deep conversation about this, and nor do I have to defend myself or explain myself. And he finally let it go, but it was almost like he was never satisfied with any answer I gave him. And so I just kind of, and I wasn't angry, I wasn't upset, I just, you know, okay, and I just, you know, got what I needed and closed the door. But so my point is, and my other realization about that afterwards was, we really have to knock down all the boundaries and chuck all our ideas about everything, because there's not one thing that's better than the other. They're all equal, kind of. We have to be willing to know about everything. It's not just, say, Catholicism, baptism, Buddhism. We have to be open, because there isn't one that's the all, be all, end all. The one that is the be all, end all is the universal law,
which is, for example, is a prayer of one, and we've prayed that before on this line.
Yeah.
And what I'm intuiting that what happened in that, just in like the overall view of that story, Lily, and we're I'm sure me and Crystal, we're going to talk about energy today in all kinds of life and how we can read our energy and others' energy. Well, this is the start of what you did, Susie, is whether you knew it or not, unconsciously, but it's coming consciously to all of us. You were reading that energy, and that energy did not match you because you're increasing your vibrations. You're going up into a less dense energy. And that was dense energy that came to you, and literally what you said is, no, I don't want this less dense energy. I'm working on, ascending and having that higher, that less dense energy.
Well, and
so literally you did that.
Yeah, but everything is a stepping stone. I mean, I'm sure
Absolutely.
If I went to their church, I may enjoy myself, and they may have wonderful music and blessings and all that stuff. But that's not necessarily where I choose. What I'm choosing currently that I decided this morning is anything that empowers me. That's the direction I want to follow. If it disempowers, I want to move away from.
And what Franco says coming up, if we hear it or not, also, just because it's denser energy than we are, it depends on what you believe and what you know, the confidence you have inside you. You can go into that dense energy. You can walk into that, wherever, that dense energy, and you can know that you're expanding that dense energy and it's not going to bother you. So,
right.
I mean, that's both sides of the coin. Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings me to, I had a couple of nights one week that I had a visit in the middle of the night by dense, dark energy, and it was like I woke up, was aware of the presence, and I said, no, go, return from whence you came, never to return again. And it happened again the second night. It's like, no. It actually happened 3 times in a week, and it was, the odd thing is I had no fear, but I was very aware of, the heaviness of the energy, and it was like I woke up aware of there was a presence, and I said, nope, and finally the third time, I didn't even say return from whence you came. I just said no, like kind of loudly without opening my mouth.
Said it with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other side of the coin of that. And see, there's many ways of doing things, and it just depends on who you are, your real person. So here's the other side of doing things, and we're playing this love frequency 528 hertz today. Here's the other one. You use the universal law, which is higher than the matrix laws that we're in now, or what we're learning, is the law of one. So any dense energy, I'll call it dense energy, or just black energy, there's white energy. It's just energy. It's right. The black energy is just denser than the white energy, the light energy. So you use when you feel, this is what I've learned too, when you feel the darkness or you feel anxiety or any kind of feeling and emotion, because we're emotional beings, and this is why the ETs are so interested in us. They don't have these strong emotions that we experience in this dense energy. So if you're feeling any kind of strong emotion, even if it's joy, anxiety, fear, hate, whatever, or some things come in your dreams or whatever, you can do the law of one. And you just call in your spiritual cord of equity, the divine living flame of love, universal consciousness, anybody you want, the ETs in the universe, blah, 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 blah. And then you just say, and you invite, and I invite these energies that I'm feeling now, anxious, angry, or you can describe those feelings. You invite that. And then you say, we are all one. And when one is harmed or compromised, all are harmed or compromised. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all that there is, I ask for only the highest good of all concerned happen with these strong emotions I'm feeling now. And I ask that for all others that are feeling this. And you know what happens at that time? Those dark energies that you're experiencing, the denser energies, they melt. They melt, and they can only help you as far as the highest good of all is concerned, literally. Do you believe that? Franco says if you're going through a struggle, as we say it, or something negative, or a fight, as we say it, and then when you say the prayer one for only the highest good of all concerned, even though it seems that struggle is staying, it's teaching you to increase in those vibrations. It's teaching you something. It's your teacher. And you will get, when you look back at something like that, and you have many stories, all of you, to look back, you've learned, you grow from those experiences. So isn't that awesome?
It's also transmuting and transforming the energy as opposed to grabbing onto the energy in a certain form. It's melting it into one that's flowing, and
it's
as opposed to growing.
It's making it the highest good of all concerned use for you and others.
And I have to say, sometimes we have these negative experiences that are our greatest teachers, because sometimes in the depths of your pain, in order to get out of that pain, we start to seek. The pain is too great, so we start seeking something. And it has been, for me, on occasion, some of my greatest, teachings is when I've been in most pain, emotionally, or going struggles. Your struggles of stuff, and you've got that to draw on for your experience, for your awareness.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage Lola. You're in the perfect place. What you're doing now, you're just in the perfect place for you right now. Just go with the flow, go inside your heart, and ask the questions out loud. Stay with us, and whatever, it's going to be perfect wherever it ends up. And hopefully that'll help you to relax through all this. It's hard, I know. It's really hard for me too, but we're growing together, you guys. It's all really good. Okay. Should we go on to the next step?
Sure.
And we're getting to the details of the waves coming. But I want to play
the waves
this.
of the solar flares?
The one starting September 21st, these next 3 months. And that's going to push us into the literally letting go of everything that we're attached to in this matrix, and push us over the edge, so to speak, for us to literally start seeing and experiencing the golden age, our world. We are co-creating our new world. We're co-creating in a less dense energy right now. So this is on the blog. It's 3 minutes long, and remember we talked about Andrew, we were talking about the ETs and all that. And we're going to be having some phone calls coming up to help us more, because this is my passion. Learning to engage with our brothers and sisters 1 degree from us, in different dimensions. Very exciting stuff. It reads, Julian Wells explains his experience of how he contacted and still talks to the Pleiadians. Hints or clues for you, diamonds, to come in communication with them too, or any other galactic race. Shine, diamonds. Blessings of love, peace, and joy. Turn into bliss, Elizabeth Diamond. Okay, so let's listen to this, 3 minutes long. This is a show he did recently, probably 2-3 weeks back. Oops. Hold on, guys. Let me get it to play. Maybe the volume's down. Hold on. I heard it playing. Let me turn off this music here for a minute. And there we go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Well, I would say earlier last year, I was following the Collective Imagination show, and the subject came up with regards to, I wonder what, the local,
extraterrestrial beings, are thinking about things, and how do they see what's going on Earth, and are they here to help us? And these subtle questions were out there, and I felt, well, maybe I can ask. And I took it upon myself to basically ask if I could contact them. I had no idea. I was basically, well, let's give this a shot. I'm not exactly experienced in telepathy, but they are. And what subtle ability I have in actually listening and being open and sort of like basically clear-minded. It's a really big part. In order to hear things that are very subtle, you need to quiet it down so you can hear or observe the very, very subtle feelings you get, the very subtle images that you have, in the back of your eyeballs when you close your eyes. I mean, some people are good at visualizing with their eyes closed and some aren't. And essentially, I had a lot of practice with that, and that's what I was terming building my sensitivity. And so I said, well, if you're up there, give me a sign or let me know. And I made it a very powerful intention. I put a lot of love into this. I put a lot of excitement into this. And it really didn't take long at all. In fact, I got a response that was not at all what I expected, which was someone who was like answering a phone that was, already sent to the answering machine, and they were picking it up. And it was amazing. And of course, I wanted to verify this. I've been told you should check with, who is here, you're hearing with and all that, who you're listening to or whatever's coming through. But it was amazing, the actual feelings that came with this conversation. It was as if it was dialogue with the feelings that came with it. I don't really know how to explain that, but it was very contextually emotional information. And it wasn't just like, drama type of emotion. It was very, very positive. It was exhilarating, and it was exciting. And this is in ways that I had never, ever done for myself. I mean, bursting clouds was exciting, but I actually, this was a big step for me. And I admitted, on one level, I said, I may just be talking with my higher being, but my higher being, when it talks to me, it answers my questions before I'm finished asking the question. So I'll start, formulating a question, and it'll just, I start saying it in my head, and it'll answer it. It'll just cut me off. And in such a way that I couldn't even imagine. It's as if I couldn't even figure out what I could possibly say. And then when I observe the answer, it's so perfect, multidimensionally perfect, like multiple purpose in multiple ways, it's perfect. And when I began, what I understood was this dialogue, it was a real strange adventure. And it was really like, boom, this is it. And it came through like I was speaking with somebody else. Like when you imagine you're speaking with someone and you imagine their voice or their face or whatever, I got multiple different personalities, like a different sounding voice, different feeling ways. Like if you imagine just for a second, that you're having a mental conversation with your brother, okay, or your sister or your mother, something like that. You can imagine a little bit what that conversation's like because, they're predictable to you. But when you're talking to a total stranger, you really don't know what's about to occur. And that's how it felt. And it was definitely awkward because several of them had never actually talked with a human. So I basically, what I ended up finding out is that I had reached a group of Pleiadians in a ship that had basically taken on the role of observing people on Earth and recording all the frequencies, television, news, and all that sort of stuff.
and everything that was going through the satellites. They're basically recording and gathering all that. And I also found out that they had contracts with higher beings of other Pleiadian incarnates on Earth and other people that were not Pleiadian, and they would have these cameras that would record their local surroundings, sort of like a little camera floating up behind your head. Right. Yeah, very much so, except capturing in a three-dimensional holographic way. And basically there were beings that were at posts, Pleiadians at posts, that were basically, all about finding these frequencies and observing them, and basically collecting them and organizing them and sharing them with other galactic species in our solar system here at this time. So this is sort of like the Pleiadians with strong antennas. And the other things I found is that they're all working on, how to begin first contact. They're all working on, beginning to try to understand what it would be like to be on Earth, and how they would have to adapt, and all these sorts of things.
The other person's asking a question. I don't know how I didn't get her sound in there.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on one second. We can't hear the other person talking.
It's well, we have to understand there's such a large expression for humans, so their expression ranges in response to just as large a level as that. However, the easiest way to take it is that they're exceptionally optimistic. I mean, among the most optimistic people that you would find on Earth. Okay, and the other thing is, they actually don't experience the fear of death, which is, they're basically saying it's extremely useful if you actually don't feel like you're constantly under threat of being diminished or being extinguished, because that alone changes the nature of how you operate. And so they understand that we believe that we can be killed. We believe that we can be subjugated by others. We believe that we're small and governments are big. We believe that guns kill, and so they do. But guns don't need to kill. And in fact, you can miraculously heal yourself of a gun wound if you're familiar with the fact that you can. So they're in that position without those lowest, most uncomfortable fears that we have. They simply don't acknowledge or involve themselves in those so much. Now, when they do, it's extremely dramatic for them, and it takes almost a community, their large community, to help people out of depressions that they might get caught up with. We'll put it this way, because just being an incarnate is not a complete enough explanation. If you can understand that the human race is seeded from multiple races, and that we have DNA from all of them, there's a thing where DNA can actually change. And if you understand that DNA can change in your lifetime, then you can change to just about it. You can actually change your appearance. Some people use affirmations to change their body weight and things like this. But so when you begin acting like a Pleiadian, you start attracting Pleiadian nature. And essentially, I have had memories of lifetimes as Pleiadian, and one in very particular, it basically, when you remember, you begin to, it's another way of integrating. So you start, as you remember, you start adopting what you remember. And right, and so when you're born, oftentimes you're given patterns that don't fit in, but actually are a part of other cultures, galactic cultures. So in essence, I had just enough Pleiadian nature in my DNA active to continue to seek more of activating more of that, because it was in my heart to activate that more and more. It was, I resonated with being that passionate individual that most Pleiadians experience as a culture. And I looked at life in the mysteries of why should it be like this, and why, such limitations, in the same way that a Pleiadian would. And so I activated more and more Pleiadian nature in me, and it had some really big jumps as of only, a year or two ago. And the more that I'm in communication with them and get to know them and their culture, it's as if I've gone to another country and I'm becoming like those in that country. Act and speak as your surroundings. And so they've highly affected me, and so essentially I'm becoming more Pleiadian every day, up to the point where I'm very comfortable actually feeling like a representative of what a Pleiadian is like with regards to discovering life.
Wow. And we're going to delve into that subject to help you all on the phone, if you're interested, to be able to have the same experience, or it'll be different than as Julian has. And that's my passion. So we're going to be journeying on that, and that's going to be awesome soon. Also, if you're interested in contacting this particular group of Pleiadians, the observation ship, like Julian explained, or it could be any other race that your heart's desiring. Only do it if your heart desires, or you have a strong passion wanting to connect with our brothers and sisters in other dimensions. This particular group, you can contract with them to put a camera on you, an ethered camera, and which I have, and they go with you everywhere and experience everything you do, even, the unperfectness of yourself. You can limit it to not going in the camera off when you go in the bathroom or taking a bath or something, but I haven't limited it. And, you just be your real self and talk with them and say, hey, you guys, I give you permission to put that camera on me. Julian, the Pleiadian ship that observes, that Julian talks with, I give you permission to put that camera on me, and you can experience human life through me. And just keep talking to them as a little child would, like I have been recently. Okay, you guys, you've had a camera on for over a year or more, and you're watching me. When are you going to come and talk to me, like Julian? So I'm looking forward to that, and you all having experiences and testimonies, and we're going to have calls like that, because eventually it's going to transpire. One of the, the calls on the diamonds is where we're going to get to a point where we're actually on the call live. There'll be maybe not all the group. Some will come to observe it and listen to learn more from us, but it'll be a group of people on the diamonds that will be contacting the Pleiadians or any other race, and downloading it in our voices, like Julian does, to the whole group, so we can expand in our consciousness beyond this dimension into their dimension, and because they have a wider view of us. But at the same time, we're helping them to expand, because they don't have this experience in the human skin suit with the strong, dense emotions. And all of us here on Earth, you learned in the Diamonds Call, are masters, and we're very special. Whoever's, everyone, every animal, every living thing on this Earth that's here chose to come here, and it was a very hard job, so to speak. But they, in other dimensions, look at us like in the mind frame as, we'll just say, movie stars. They're very excited to watch us and learn from us. So it's a co-creation. It's a learning back and forth. It's not just the oozy ooh of hearing other ETs, but we're going to literally learn in depth of other dimensions from the ones that live in that dimension, and then they learn from us, the ones that live in this dimension. What do you say, Lily? What did you think of that?
Oh, I think it was really good. Gosh, I'm not quite ready to put a camera on myself. However, Okay,
sorry about that.
It's okay.
We're still recording. Are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I think it's quite interesting and pretty powerful. What he was saying is, it sounds like what he was saying about the more he communicates them, and he has DNA, Pleiadian DNA, and he's becoming more like them as opposed to maintaining, kind of our human, 3D world. He's raising his awareness to be more like Pleiadian.
Yeah, and for example, have you ever hung around like a best friend, for instance? Your best friend and you hang around all the time, and they have some kind of nuance that's way different, like they say, cool, dude, all the time. And when you're not with them and you hung around them a lot, and you find yourself saying that to other people, cool, dude. Mm-hmm. Now that's just humanity with humanity. And it's the same thing, humanity on Earth with a different dimension race on a different dimension planet or in the galactic skies.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Cool. All right. Okay. Now, shall we go on?
Sure.
Wow, it's already 2:20. That's okay. Now we're going to listen to, this is building a foundation of the very good, this is good too, of who we are, energy and time, and about time and energy. As he's talking about this, think of yourself individually, because you are the universe. You are the universe. We're talking about microcosms, macrocosms. And this will help you understand of what we're going to be listening to next. So, this is Wisdom Teachings with David Wilcock. And this is interesting, synchronicities abound. This was just done last week. And the title is, check this out, Lily, Surfing the Waves of Time. Now, Franco and even somebody else labeled, the energy boosts coming in. Grab your surfboard, get on and flow. Let go and flow with the wave. And this is called Surfing the Waves of Time. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, yeah.
So, as you're listening to this, there's some science involved in here. This is you. This is energy and time. He's describing it, just so you know. Listen to your self-talk. And if you're listening to anything of this or anybody or anything, I've experienced this. This is awesome. Even when you're not listening to the stuff, you're going to find yourself listening to something and not even telling yourself this, and you're going to understand it, boom, just like that, right off. Difficult things, you're just going to, boom, you're going to understand it as you're listening to it in real time. Your self-talk is very important. Listen to what you're saying. As you're listening to this, tell yourself a couple of times, I understand what he's talking about. I understand perfectly. I even understand more beyond what he's talking about. And see how you expand. It's really fun, you guys. It's really fun. It's not a struggle. It's easy. It's a rest. It's going with the flow. So let's listen in. And then I meant to tell you, after this, we're going to go into the specifics of the energy waves coming, and you will be very encouraged, too.
All right, here we are. Time. Are you ready for another dose? Wisdom Teachings. I'm your host, David Wilcox. This is where it's happening. We're getting it all together. We're redoing. All right, here we are. It's time. Are you ready for another dose? Wisdom Teachings. I'm your host, David Wilcox. This is where it's happening. We're getting it all together. We're redoing the cosmos, and we're looking at the science of torsion fields discovered by the noteworthy Russian physicist Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev. And he created a very, very fascinating view of the cosmos that is quite different from reality as we know it. Now, again, by the mid-1990s, as I said in previous episodes, over 10,000 academic papers were written about the science of time. Many of them, most of them, were in Russian. It has spawned, this research that I'm talking to you about, has spawned a huge body of information, much of which is still classified. Some of it leaked out on the internet when these Russian scientists who had been under classification during the USSR, Soviet Union period, no longer had to honor their secrecy because the Soviet Union collapsed. And they started to publish their papers and their research online. And there was a big glut of this stuff that came out in the late 1990s where they were just breaking secrecy vows, and our government didn't have the power to stop these papers from going out. They just hoped that people wouldn't find them. And a lot of times also the papers are not translated very well into English, so as a result you have to not only understand very advanced technical concepts, but you have to interpolate how it's translated into something that makes sense, because a lot of times the wording is very awkward. It doesn't always carry over well. So Kozyrev's big idea was that time is not just some passive thing that pushes, along without any influence. Time is actually a dynamic force that is influenced by and in some senses created by matter. And matter itself creates waves of time. So this episode is called Surfing the Waves of Time. And it's all about the science of Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev. Now, we have to think differently about time than we normally do in order to understand this. And I have the benefit of there being a staff here who's watching these episodes as I make them and then reflecting back to me at the end of each episode how much they got and how much they didn't get. And I was asked to enunciate a little bit more about this new science of time because it is so strange and it's such a different way of looking at things. So let me propose this to you. Is it possible that time is movement? Is it possible that the reason why we experience time is that the Earth is rotating on its axis, that it's revolving around the sun, that the sun is revolving around the center of the galaxy, and that our galaxy is drifting towards the Virgo galactic supercluster? Actually, that's what we are told. If you remember back, I don't know how many far ago episodes it was now, that we were bringing in the 1950s ET messages that were brought through with Wilbert B. Smith from people who claims to be channeling, and the only sources that he used were the people that could identify the same answers to a 100-part questionnaire that was very specific, that included information that was classified that only he had access to, and everybody who was actually authentic answered the questions with the same answers. And this is a group of people who had never met each other from all over the country and Canada who actually were giving him the same results, and they spoke in these ET sources spoke extensively about the nature of time and said that we were completely backwards on our understanding of time. We simply don't get it. The closest that most science has gotten is looking at it through Einstein's relativity. And again, we still kind of think that time just works. You look at the clock, and it's going to count out 60 seconds, and you depend on that clock to be consistent. You never worry that a minute is going to get slower or longer, although, as we all know, time is also a subjective psychological experience, and a minute can seem like a lifetime, or it can seem very fast, depending on your state of mind. We also can notice with animals, and especially insects, certain insects seem to process time much more quickly, like a fly. You try to swat a fly, they're really fast. It would appear that within the fly's frame of reference, as the fly swatter is coming down, it's got all this time. It's seeing the fly swatter come in, and it just gets out of the way. And if cockroaches, the first time I saw a cockroach was at Disney World when we were staying at a hotel down there, and they had all these signs up in the cabinets, don't leave any food out. Those cockroaches, they just zip around. They're so fast. Jeez. And then you have the hummingbird, right? The hummingbird the wings are moving very fast so that it actually makes a humming noise. The heart rate is I think it's 240 beats a minute or something. So they might very well be experiencing time at a different speed than we do as human beings. So time is, to some degree, a function of your frame of reference. We think that we're measuring time the same way. We think that time flows the same for everybody, but in fact, for those insects, it clearly is going faster. And therefore, they see much more happening in the same length of time than we do. Also, if you think about the research that's been done on crickets, and they have recorded cricket songs, and when you actually slow them down, the sound of their legs rubbing together, it sounds like a choir of female vocals, people singing. Similarly, they've taken bird songs. You hear the birds do this really fast thing, and you slow it down, and it has all the same constructs as symphonic orchestral music, which would strongly suggest that the birds are hearing it at that speed and that we are perceiving it as if it's going faster. That could also explain why they don't live as long as we do, but they have a full life. Their perception of time is different. But what if there were ways in which time could be changed on an absolute level? What the 1950s channeling was trying to tell us is that time can be altered in a given area, can speed up or slow down in a local area. Einstein didn't believe that was true. He said time was locally invariant. But the new science says, nope, you can slow down or speed up time in a given area, and the founding father of all that was Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev. So let's surf the waves of time and discuss this great Russian scientist who discovered the waves of time, or what he also called torsion fields. So again, he was a promising scientist who had to go through his concentration camp for 10 years, and while he was in Stalin's concentration camp, because Stalin was arresting all the scientists, he had huge breakthroughs that he then developed in the 1950s. And this got him an insight into the nature of time. I'm going to keep quoting from this paper because it's so significant. A.P. Levich's A Substantial Interpretation of Kozyrev's Conception of Time. This is from the Russian Institute of Temporology, and this is their website. And this is, again, leaked information describing what Kozyrev saw time to be, that it was a mighty flow that actually is caused by things moving around in the universe. Matter makes time, and the processes that take place in matter feed the flow. So, again, Kozyrev was very much into astrophysics, and one of the things that he really studied was binary stars. Now, you may be aware that 70 to 75% or more of stars, I think it's 76%, NASA has said 76% of all the stars we see are binary star pairs. Now, what Kozyrev was into is the idea that these binary stars are too far apart from each other for there to be any communication at the speed of light, because the speed of light is too slow to explain why they grow the same way at the same time. Because binary stars tend to be very similar to each other. Most of them are very similar. Kozyrev is thinking that they're interacting with each other somehow, but when you calculate the distance that they possess from each other, plus the speed of light, there is no way that the speed of light could be pinging back and forth, and that could account for why they are in some sort of equilibrium. He believed that binary stars had to be exchanging energy with each other in real time, much faster than the speed of light, but actually spontaneously, and that's why they exist in a pair. Well, that's a mystery that he tackled, and again, this is orthodox science in the classified world of Russian science. He was trying to figure out what's going on, and he concluded that time is being exchanged between these two stars, and that time is not bound by the speed of light. That time ultimately is this essence in the universe, and that it appears to move, but it's not really moving. Now let me explain to you how that works, because we're going to get back into this in a second. One of the other Russian physicists that I found, and I forget who it was, it's in my book, The Divine Cosmos, on my website, had a very fascinating concept about electromagnetic energy. Let's examine electromagnetic energy now, because electromagnetic energy travels at the speed of light. Photons, which are light, are a form of electromagnetic energy.
I just want to intercede in here. We are electromagnetic energy. And the other one, he'll say it later.
What is that? These Russian scientists now tell us to look at the universe, to look at space-time, the fabric, as Einstein called it, which is not really a fabric, but we'll go with that for now. Look at it as a sponge. If you take a sponge and you dip one side in water, you put water on it over here, there's something that will occur called capillary action. The water is going to fill into the little spherical cells inside the sponge. That's what the sponge really is, just a bunch.
I want to interject. We are the sponges. We are water. We're made up of lots of water. So remember that.
Holes. The water is going to start soaking through those holes, and it's going to soak its way across the sponge. That soaking is actually, according to many of these Russian physicist models, electromagnetic energy propagating its way through this stuff that's all around us that I have called the source field, others have called it the ether, and Kozyrev very confusingly calls it time. Oh, okay. Don't say, when you say time, don't think of time the way you normally would. Think of time as this stuff that makes the universe. And it just so happens that as the stuff moves, that it's pushing other stuff, and as the matter spins around other matter, like in the atomic nucleus and the electrons, allegedly, there's a movement going on in there, and that movement is powered by time. The flow of time spins the atom. So the entire reason why the atom isn't totally still is because there's this stuff that makes it. And as the stuff makes its way through the atom to run the atom, you can measure the atom, the movement of the atom, and that's time. So that's the concept. Time is measured ultimately by our frame of reference, which is that the Earth is rotating on its own axis and it's revolving around the sun. So the way we measure time is we look at the sun going through the sky. Sun rises, sun sets. We time when that happens. We take that as an interval. We know how long it takes the Earth to rotate on its axis, and we've just arbitrarily said we're going to take the time, with that unit of measurement of how long the Earth rotates on its axis. We're going to chop it up into 24 pieces. We'll call those pieces hours. We'll chop up each of those pieces into 60 pieces. We'll call those minutes. We'll chop up those pieces into 60 more pieces, and we'll call them seconds. But all we're really doing is we're observing our environment, and we're chopping it up into little pieces, and then using those pieces to measure something. But the only thing that's really happening is that stuff is moving. So time is just a way of marking out how stuff is moving. Kozyrev's insight is something is making the planet spin on its axis. Something is making the planet revolve around the sun. Something is making the sun